Hello everyone, it's the 2-week roundup time. My name is Nick and let's have a look at the games we've been having a look at on the channel in this nice friendly fashion, or at least we try to. Now it's going to be controversial this week because I'm sure I've got some games in a different order you'll put them, as the comment section showed. There was a bit of a conflict. Some people thought certain games were great, some people thought other games were not quite so great. So that's what keeps it interesting really, and that's what the channel's about. But before we come to the top 6, the PlayStation 4 pinball games we looked at this time were on the Balls of Glory pack by Zen Studios in 2015. We looked at Family Guy. Now this table has 4 tables on it, and we will be looking at all of them gradually. So we looked at Family Guy and Bob's Burgers. This is published by Zen Studios in 2015 and based on these cartoons on the Fox network. Other ones we'll be coming at would be Archer and American Dad. Now the pinball reviews don't seem to be as popular as the other stuff on the channel, so we might be putting some other videos up on Thursday as well, in addition, to try and bolster that up a bit, because I want to keep you entertained. But these tables aren't bad. Yeah, they're alright actually. It's in Pinball 2, you know what you're going to get. You're always going to get quality. So Family Guy and Bob's Burgers. A couple of games didn't make the top 6 this time. Yeah, they're not disaster games. Probably one of them, I haven't been playing it correctly, but the first one was Bob's Full House by TV Games in 1988, based on the TV series from the 80s that was presented by Bob Monkhouse. By getting questions right and competing against 3 opponents, you have to light up numbers on a bingo card. First round you have to light up the corners, then a row, then the whole lot, like a full house, and then you win for amazing prizes like a set of pans or whatever you. Now this game represents the TV show quite well, although one criticism is there's not many questions in the data bank, so ones will keep coming up over and over, and as soon as you know all the answers, it's not going to be much of a challenge. The main challenge for me on Bob's Full House was actually typing in long answers in the piffling time available. There's better games. Now we will be looking at a few other TV related games in the few weeks, well, one at least. Good game, is that a clue? Yeah, these shows from the 80s didn't have very good prizes. And the other game that didn't quite make it, where perhaps I didn't know what I was doing, is a Rally Driver on the ZX Spectrum. Both of these are produced by Hill McGibbon in 1984. It's an early racing game, it's quite slow, and I couldn't find a way to turn around corners, which was quite basic. I'm sure there's a way of doing it, but I just got terribly frustrated. There's supposed to be 3 stages of various weather conditions. It kept rounding them up really wet for me, and I weren't impressed with this one at all. No, there's quite a few bad games on the ZX Spectrum, but there's a few good ones to find as well. But the bad racing games outweigh the good racing games by quite a bit. So that's Bob's Full House and Rally Driver, so avoid those 2. Okay, there was no PlayStation 4 games this time, so yeah. So let's go from 6th to 4th, and in 6th place, controversial straight away, I put TERRA CRESTA on the ZX Spectrum, published by Imagine Software in 1986. It's the sequel to Moon CRESTA, which I had in first place last time, because that was just retro heaven. It's an arcade conversion again. It did tax the Spectrum, because where Moon CRESTA worked quite well with a black background, a spacey background, this one's over a planet, and it does confuse things somewhat the way the Spectrum does colours. The Spectrum Next probably clear that up. But it's not using much of the screen, probably because of the processing power. It just scrolls forever, a bit like a Silkworm or Swiv, I should say. I was a bit nonplussed with it. It's very, very difficult without a cheat on, and I got bored. So it's TERRA CRESTA in 6th place, although technically it's quite clever. Jonathan Smith was involved in the coding of that one. In 5th place, I put on the Commodore Amiga Combo Racer by Gremlin Graphics in 1990. Quite unique, this game, in that it's a race sidecar combination. A car and it's put like a car and a guy leans over the side. I only used to see these sort of races on World of Sport when I was a young kid, presented by Dickie Davis. Lotus Esprit Challenge trilogy was to come around about the same time or shortly after from Gremlin Graphics, and that's a lot better than this. What this has good going for it is it's quite fast, but it's run-the-mill compared with a lot of top racing games on the Commodore Amiga. It's okay. 1990, it's okay. You wouldn't have been disappointed with that one I don't think, but not really too much to go back to. There's a championship there, and it's quite easy to control, so not bad. And in 4th place, all these positions are going to be controversial, I think, so put your order if you disagree. It's alright to disagree, that's the whole thing. Right, on the Commodore Amiga again, Manchester United Europe by KRISALIS in 1991. It's a horizontal football game. I do remember back in the day, I didn't play it that much. I think I must have borrowed it from a friend or played it around a friend's house. I certainly didn't own it. And I seem to remember it being a lot easier than what I was playing this time round. So whether I lost my special skills or that was just a different game. But it is quite good. Passing is quite easy. My preference is still for Kickoff 2 and Sensible Soccer, which are overhead football games. But as a horizontal one goes, this is one of the better ones. Probably didn't sell as many as it should have done because of the Manchester United licence. Manchester United fans would have bought it, and then other people might have given it a wide berth. It's good. Takes a bit of getting used to. The crowd noises are a little bit quieter, so that could have been a bit better. So in 6th place then is TERRA CRESTA on the ZX Spectrum from '86. In 5th place on the Commodore Amiga, Combo Racer by Gremlin Graphics in 1990. And in 4th place again on the Commodore Amiga, Manchester United Europe by KRISALIS in 1991. Now before we come to the top 3, as I said, there was no PlayStation 4 game looked at this time round, but we are going through on the PlayStation 3 the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, which is quite fun for me to look at because I never owned a Mega Drive, as it's good to see these HD remakes on the PS3. We looked at VECTORMAN. Quite a hard platform game this, but one of the few single-player games where a lot of the other ones are 2-player games. It's not fighting, it's a shooter platform game. Essentially, VECTORMAN is a robot, or an Orbot in this, which has been sent to Earth to clean it up basically. It's set in the future and we've covered it with sludge and pollution. All the human race has gone off the planet, waiting for the robots to repair it, and then we're going to come back again. But one of the robots has gone mad while VECTORMAN was away, connects himself to a warhead. Now VECTORMAN's come back, the whole planet's been taken over with enemy robots and he has to destroy everyone to make it safe for us, which is quite a nice guy. Good graphics, good sound. We will be looking at the second one at some point, and I was impressed with this game. Another one that split the room, that one. And the other game, so I love all the games in this series, is Streets of Rage 3 on the Sega Mega Drive Collection. 2009 these ones come out. I like the first Streets of Rage, like the second Streets of Rage, and I like the third one. I find it hard to put them in any sort of order. If you grew up with nostalgia, you probably prefer one to another. But again, this is awesome. The AI seems a little bit better, and there was a fight stage actually in a club, and I absolutely love that. It's completely and utterly ridiculous. So if you like Streets of Rage, then certainly have a look at that one, Streets of Rage 3. Some of the end of level bosses are a bit tough, but weapons to pick up, all your classic stuff there, and what a magnificent series. Okay, so let's come to the top 3, which is most controversial one I've ever done, I think. But anyway, in 3rd place, I put on the PlayStation 3 Monopoly Streets by Electronic Arts in 2010. If you like Monopoly, you'll like this. If you think Monopoly's boring and don't like it, then you probably give it a miss. But there's quite a lot of content there. There's computer AI online, it's extremely buggy. But lots of different boards to unlock, like there's 2D ones with different themes, Chocolate World, Jungle World, and what I like most, which I did on the review, is the 3D worlds. There's 2 to pick from, and one as a download called Stratosphere. I think that's called that, but I've never actually downloaded that one. Basically you go round and round the board. If you don't know about Monopoly, buy and trade properties and get people to land on them and bankrupt them and all that sort of malarkey. The original video I did, I had to edit it. I think it lasted about 2 hours 20 minutes, and that's just too long, too big for anyone to watch and to upload as well. So we edited it down to about half an hour. So you got sort of like the gist of the game, really. It wasn't a complete walkthrough, so you saw the graphics and the houses being built and all that sort of stuff, and the sound effects. So if you're thinking of buying a Monopoly Streets, you can get hold of it. Hopefully this video has given you a good idea of it. It's done really well. I liked it. I mean, I wasn't bored at all. I can keep going back to that game, but it does eat a lot of time to have a proper game. Probably better to play with some human players rather than the AI, which I was doing. And in 2nd place, on the ZX Spectrum 48K, I put Barry McGuigan's Boxing by GameStar in 1985. Now this game, on all intents and purposes, might look a bit basic, but the reason I put it in second place is it's from 85, so of an era, and there's quite a lot there to make you come back. Attention to detail, you can even pick your boxers' hairstyle and their trunks. As a kid, I would have loved that bit of customization. And you must go up the ranks to beat all the boxers before beating the champion, and then Barry McGuigan himself. The gameplay is extremely basic, I'll have to say that, but a kid's imagination would have added quite a lot to it. So back in the day, this would have been an excellent game. I prefer it to Frank Bruno's Boxing, and there are a nice few touches there too, where in the crowd during the fight, people would take photographs, and you'll see flash photography going up here and there. So I really like this one. If you come to it late, you might think it's a little bit basic, a 2D fighter with not much skill involved, but I liked it. And in first place, now this is the video that split the crowd the most. People either hated it or loved it, and nowhere in between whatsoever. I quite liked it for what it was doing. It was Driver 3 on the Game Boy Advance, published by Atari Games in 2005. Now, I generally like the Driver games anyway. The first one I played was on the PlayStation 1, where you control a cop called Tanner, who's working undercover, infiltrating gangs, and solving mysteries and shooting people. The most similar game to this, I would say, is Grand Theft Auto, so it's competing with those. But the reason why I've got it in first place is, although there's a lot to do on the cartridge, you get a lot of content for your money, but the Game Boy Advance wasn't really designed for 3D worlds in mind, and it's created a world really good. Now, some of the missions are really tricky. I struggled to get, well, one of them, which I didn't actually manage to do. But if you keep going back, you can save it. There's 2 cities to do, I think Miami, and then eventually you get to Nice in France. And I just think it's a marvel. Now, there's a lot of bit of warpiness. As you can see, the Game Boy Advance is struggling to render this thing. So you go near a building, it will walk a bit weirdly, and sometimes the road goes up and down. But I forgive it for that, walks and all. So in first place, so the top 3 then, we have on PlayStation 3, third, Monopoly Streets by Electronic Arts in 2010. In second place, ZX Spectrum, Barry McGuigan's Boxing in 1985. And the winner this time round, I'm pleased to say, you'll probably disagree with me, is Driver 3 on the Game Boy Advance in 2005. Thanks for watching the videos as always. I'm always looking at ways to increase the content if I can, or improve it too. So your comments are always read, and quite often I answer them as well. So thank you for your support. It really helps me go. Keep going, I should say. And have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, take great care of yourself and have very fun. Goodbye.
Goodbye.